Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee with Alain. Saturday, so we're going to talk about books. Today's books, Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity by Peter Attia. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And Keep It Simple by Terry Bradshaw. It's a little bit later in the day today. Wasn't able to do it in the morning because I was on a plane at that time. Got up at 3:30. Well, I got up at 2:45. I caught my Uber at 3:30 to get me to the airport to be on a 5:40 flight to Minneapolis, and then flew from Minneapolis to Missoula. Got in just a little while ago, so I'm drinking a little bit of coffee to stay awake with my Mickey Mouse cup. I'm going to just talk about a couple books. It was sort of funny. I traded 2 1-hour flights for 2 3-hour flights. Instead of taking 4 hours to come home, it took 8. And that's just because the flight got delayed and I wasn't going to make my connecting flight. And then I was going to be stuck there till after midnight. Would have been doing coffee with Alain from the airport someplace. But they were able to work me around and go to Minneapolis instead of Salt Lake. And I made it home before midnight, even though it took twice as long as the original plan. That's the way it goes sometimes. I gave a little safety tip, travel tip from the airport that you should check out, and I'll repeat it here. Very important that you have all your information, your apps and information updated so you can get those notices, get those texts about changes in flights and stuff, enable you to do something about it and can make your travels a little bit easier. Let's talk about some books. Learned about this book from Jocko. People know his podcasts and his books. I enjoy his podcasts. I've enjoyed his books, and that's where I learned about this. And this, I thought, was an excellent book. If you're interested in your health and living longer, and not just longer, but being able to do things as you live longer and enjoy your life, something I'm all about, he has some great advice. And it's not just one of these, okay, eat your vegetables and exercise. I mean, he goes more in depth with it. Exercise is very important. And he talks about the different kinds of exercise that we should be doing. We need to be doing that strength exercise. We need to be doing some stretching. We need to do balance exercise. We need to be incorporating things to help us live longer. And he talks about doing things that will enable you to do the things that you want to do as you get older. You want to be able to pick that carry-on up and put it overhead. You want to be able to go shopping and bring stuff in. You want to be able to do these life activities. And he stresses exercising and working out to make sure that you can continue to do those as you age. And he doesn't give just one simple little diet. He talks a lot about how food interacts with what we're doing, but it's going to be different for different people, and has some good guidelines for you to figure out the best way for you to eat and stay healthy. And then he has chapters on your mental and psychological fitness and taking care of yourself. And he shares some stuff about his past, what troubles that he had, where he needed to get help on himself, and how important that was, and how important it is for all of us if we want to live longer and more enjoyable lives. So I think this is an excellent book. I'm going to be going back through it and taking more notes and incorporating as much as I can into my practices to keep myself healthy and active for as long as I can. So very good book. It's been on bestseller lists, this year, and it's worth it. And it's understandably why it is, because it's some really good information. The other book I've had on the shelf for a long time, finally got around to reading it, Keep It Simple by Terry Bradshaw. I've always enjoyed Terry Bradshaw. I wasn't a Steelers fan way back when he was a quarterback, but I was a fan of his when he would make television and movie appearances and the announcer. I mean, just a fun guy, right? I mean, who wouldn't like Terry? He's just a fun, lively person. And he tells some life lessons based on his career in football and in broadcasting and in life. been divorced 3 times. He talks about lessons learned and things that he did wrong and so forth, that didn't work out with his marriages. And so just a fun book, a good book, and some of the lessons I think most of us could think about with our own lives and say, yeah, that applies to me, and that's some good advice. So I enjoyed reading this as well, and some of his life lessons were applicable to me, and I think they'd be applicable to just about anyone. So if you like Terry Bradshaw, find an old copy of this, and it's a good, easy, fun read with some good lessons. Those are the 2 books I wanted to share today, and then I'm going to get off here because I need to unpack and need to get some sleep tonight. Yesterday, I left the house at 4 to catch that flight and go teach my active shooter classes, which that went fantastic. I mean, everything yesterday, flights went perfect. Did the active shooter training. It was great. Got some super feedback. Got a couple of video testimonies, which I'll be putting online later when they're ready to put online. But everything went fantastic there. Got to see my aunt and went out for a nice dinner. Everything was going good till I got home at the hotel late last night, and boom, your flight's changed. So I was on hold for 30 minutes to talk to Delta. Finally got to bed, got up at 2:45 this morning so I could get to the airport in time to make that early flight and make it home. So I am going to go unpack, have some dinner, get some sleep tonight. 2 good books. Outlive, Keep It Simple. Everybody have a fantastic, super rest of your Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow.